I'm watching Star Wars for the first time, and I'm starting with A New Hope.
So I really enjoy seeing these sort of videos, where someone watches a culturally significant movie that was made decades ago. They're watching it in their adult lives or something like that, and how they react to it for the first time and all that, either by being given to them by a significant other or a older family member, or as we see here as an example, going out and doing it upon themselves. So this is Katie Marie Clare. Check her out on TikTok. You can just go there, find her whatnot, see her full videos without my reactions to it. So this is basically what this is. This is me actually reacting to her reactions.
this is how I feel about it so far. Okay, the opening shot with the spaceship coming like right over you. So good. Iconic.
So that is the I-class Star Destroyer, which is called the Devastator, currently Vader's flagship for his current mission of hunting down the Rebel Alliance.
Also, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I don't like Darth Vader's voice. I was expecting it to be more like doom, there to be more apathy and dread in his voice, almost like exhaustion. So that's gonna get some getting used to, but maybe I'll understand why he's in this more of like almost seems like a chipper mood.
So with the iconic voice of James Earl Jones and the body of Vader being David Prowse, the British actor, we're kind of thankful that we actually do get James Earl Jones's voice, because if you go onto YouTube or something like that and just search for original audio of Darth Vader, you will hear David Prowse's very British accent muffling through the mask and all that sort of thing. One of the spectacular things about James Earl Jones is he actually had his an uncredited role as the voice of Vader, as it was he had figured himself that he is just like the special effect that brought Vader to life, and that the actor himself, David Prowse, in the suit should be the one getting the credit for the role. As for his current mood, it's like he's just captured one of the main heads of the rebellion. He's actually kind of celebratory. It's like a, hey, I knew they were out here and here's my proof.
Okay, I know it's probably like kind of obvious and stuff, but like I do like that in the message Princess Leia tells like Obi-Wan like you're my only hope, but the first person who gets the message is the new hope. So that's kind of cute.
Well, it's a pretty good angle for someone's just seen it for the first time, because as it is, Luke is a new hope.
Okay, I kind of have a question with like C3PO, he's just so like, yeah, no, we have new owners now. Like we have new people that we serve. Whereas like R2D2 is like, no, I've got a mission. Like I need to get this to Obi-Wan. It's like, is it because like the mission is the top priority for droids, or is it like there's actually loyalty for some droids, or the different droids have different personalities or different types of autonomy? I don't know. We'll have to find out.
So C3PO is what they refer to as a protocol droid. It's a servant droid. It basically needs to be in service of another being, hence the reason why he instantly calls others master. When we go into the lore, like of the droids, the animated series, every like second episode, R2 and 3PO have new owners, so they refer to them constantly. He refers to them constantly as master. Whereas the astromech droid, which R2D2 is, he's more of a machine sort of thing. He's basically programmed with a task and goes to doing about it. Generally speaking, astromech droids are like added sort of devices that you put into your starship to be able to navigate space and all that sort of thing, hence the astromech. Now, of course, different astromech droids have different tools and whatnot available to them and all that, but as it turns out, speaking of lore, R2 is sort of a special sort of creature when it comes to droids, whereas it's mentioned in several times throughout the saga. 3PO has had his memory wiped at certain points. He doesn't remember certain things and all that sort of thing. But as far as we can tell from stories being told, R2D2 has his original memory from the get-go, from his introduction into this whole entire saga right up into the very end. There has been no memory wipe, which means R2D2 is aware of almost pretty much everything that is going on, and decides not to tell anyone about a lot of the stuff. Yes, every droid does have a different lot in life. However, most of them are not programmed with interactive personalities like we experience with our C3PO and R2D2.
Okay, so Luke's aunt and uncle just got burnt to a crisp. They are gone. But when his uncle, like, I get why he was being like purposely like gaslighting and like lying to him about everything because he obviously doesn't want him to turn into his dad. Like, but his uncle was also kind of like an asshole. Even the way he treated the droids, I didn't like it.
Owen was like born and raised on Tatooine, so he sees all sorts of droids throughout his life as just tools for the whole entire thing. So they don't have any personality and all that sort of thing. It's actually his idea to actually have their memory wiped because they belong to us now.
But Luke, when he sees them, he's just like I don't know. Like I think that like what they're going for is that he's conflicted because on one hand he's like he wants to leave. He wants to get the hell away and the only thing keeping him there was his aunt and uncle and but mainly his uncle. And now he has this freedom, this his tether was just cut. So I feel like it's this like maybe he is sad, but I think that he's probably more conflicted that he's actually like maybe not happy about it, but like ready to go. He's ready to be on a mission.
And yes, it does seem like after all that he's gone through, Mark Hamill does end up playing down the loss of his Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. The novelization of Luke's basically reaction to the passing of his aunt and uncle is a little more in depth into the novel. Obviously, you can do that sort of thing when you can do more internalized sort of thing and all that sort of thing. But what we have in the movie is what we end up with, and that's what we have to deal with.
Also, I don't know if it's supposed to be cute, but I think it's kind of cute that like C3PO is just like dropping the little hooded people
They're called Jawas.
in like a fire. It's like a funeral. Like I don't know if it's supposed to be cute, but I think it's so cute.
Actually, fun fact, some of the early pan and scan versions on VHS, those ancient devices, would be cropped in to show Luke walking from his speeder, walking by C3PO, but the actual fire is sort of cut out of the actual shot, so you just see 3PO just carrying this Jawa off frame and all that sort of thing as Luke continues on to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay, the classic "these aren't the droids you're looking for" scene. I have questions.
I've got answers.
When Obi-Wan's like telling him all this stuff, like these aren't the droids you're looking for, and he's repeating it back to him, is he like, are we as the audience hearing everything that's going on, but really it's just taking place in like the mind? Or is it like he's pulling one over on everyone in the room? Like I don't what this is like I don't know, I'm questioning this now, like because the other stormtroopers were like, yes, very good. They didn't question it, bat an eye. So I feel like they have to be like all brainwashed, right?
So the Jedi mind trick are what we, the audience, are witnessing right now. Ben's voice is influencing the troopers, and well, only the lead sand trooper. Sand troopers are the guys deployed to obviously desert surroundings and all that sort of thing. They're usually separated by, they actually wear a pauldron on their shoulders and all that sort of thing, either in an orange or a white or just a plain black. And the Jedi mind trick is affecting all of the troopers standing around the land speeder with Luke, Ben, and the droids. You can see this by Ben doing this sort of thing. You will see it throughout the series in different sort of things. A lot of hand gesturing to signal some sort of suggestion of a voice to mind and all that sort of thing. And even when the trooper actually repeats Ben's line to him, you can see Luke's face like wait, is this happening sort of thing. Just outside the cantina, Ben then informs Luke that the Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
Okay, just destroyed a whole freaking planet.
Oh, you'll definitely have to watch Rogue One and I guess Andor season 1.
And love that Obi-Wan afterwards was like talking about how he could like hear them and that like it all went silent. So basically, when you're tapped into the Force, you are part of like the collective consciousness of all that is. So it's basically like an algorithm for God, um, which is really cool. I like that.
So Ben's reaction is like sort of kind of twofold. Well, currently he is in the middle of training Luke, but the idea of the mission going to Alderaan, which is their goal at this particular place, is he's focused on that sort of thing. So when the destruction of Alderaan does happen, yes, it is an emotion felt throughout the Force and all that sort of thing. When a great amount of lives have been destroyed so suddenly and like quietly, as all that sort of thing.
Okay, something I just caught was that Princess Leia was like, "Oh, you governor, whatever. It would be you who's pulling the leash of Darth Vader." And then earlier, when they were at the round table meeting, like that same guy was like, "Shh" to Darth, and like, "Don't do that" or whatever. And he listened, and I'm like, it's so interesting because Darth was also like afterwards, he's like, "I told you that she wouldn't give up the right information." Like Darth is aware, like he knows, like he's smart. And he's like, but it's like he's like plotting in the background because he's allowing himself, he's either allowing himself to be on a leash or being part of the dark side means that you are kind of like shackled.
So as for Vader being on a leash, so technically the Death Star is a military operation, whereas Vader is not part of the military, so to speak. He's basically the Emperor's right-hand man, and he's there to see that the Death Star gets to its final mission and all that sort of thing. Tarkin, who's actually referred to Governor Tarkin by Leia earlier as sort of an earlier version of his current ranking, just as some way to sort of undermine his authority, whereas technically Tarkin is probably the highest you can be. He is a Grand Moff in the Imperial Navy, which is pretty much the highest ranking you can actually get. And again, Vader's mission is to find the rebels, whatever means necessary, obviously. Whereas Tarkin is to put out there the Imperial might to the galaxy, to show that this powerful new weapon is a way of the Emperor controlling everything. So whereas technically Vader is definitely much stronger, Vader subsiding to Tarkin's wishes make Tarkin look like a more authoritative character to his underlying officers below him and all that sort of thing. So they know the power of Vader, they know that he's the Emperor's right-hand man, but if Tarkin is in control of Vader, wow, Tarkin must be one hell of a powerful player.
Love the part where they're coming in as well, like they're the Millennium Falcon is being
Falcon. Millennium Falcon.
brought into the Death Star. Also, Death Star is so much bigger than I thought it was.
So the DS-1 orbital battle station is approximately 160 kilometers in diameter, which I believe 100 miles diameter. Now, if I remember my West End Games original role-playing game, I believe there's 150 levels in the Death Star.
Oh boy. But when they're being brought in, Luke's like, "Oh, I have a bad feeling." And it's like in that moment, we're shown that he's tapped into the Force now. Like this is his moment where like we get to see that he really is part of the Force now. Like he's entered in because he can feel the gloom, like the despair, or maybe he can feel his dad. Like he's just sensing things. I'm so proud of.
It's an interesting perspective to have on that line. Well, I have actually jumped ahead on some of your videos and all that sort of thing. I realize that this doesn't come up again, but that phrase, "I've got a bad feeling about this," pretty much almost every one of the main characters says something to that effect or some sort of twist on that sort of thing throughout the whole entire saga, even into several of the TV series stuff and all that sort of thing. I think even in the animated it shows up, but I guess technically that's television as well. But yes, so what you said, it makes total sense. Yes, a connection to the Force and all that sort of thing, but it's just a running gag line that almost every character at some point says.
Okay, I'm gonna end it there for now. I've paused it like right where they're like entering into the Death Star, so we'll see where it goes so far. I really like it, but stay tuned for part 2 and we'll finish this together. I'm watching Star Wars for the first time and I'm starting with New Hope. This is part 2 to me watching this. I am watching like the last half of it, picking up where the Millennium Falcon
Falcon
is being drawn in to the Death Star. Before I show you my thoughts and feelings of this movie, though, I just wanted to say that I have watched the first, second, and third a very long time ago, like the prequel trilogy.
So I can spoil more knowing that you've seen episode 1, 2, and 3 a long time ago. And technically, those are the fourth, fifth, and sixth movies to be released, but those are just semantics.
So I'm not going into this completely blind. I do know that Darth Vader is his dad. I know that Leia is his sister, because it's very hard to live 32 years of life and not have two of the biggest twists in cinema history be spoiled for you. So, that being said, this is my first time watching A New Hope, Part 2. Okay, so the scene where Darth Vader goes up to the Millennium Falcon and he's like, okay, like recheck it again. I want to make sure there's nothing here. He's like, he stops and he's like, because I feel something I haven't felt. And then he like trails off. Love that moment. Like my heart went like this a little bit because I was like, well, that's a good moment. I do wish that like the emotional beats were just a little bit tighter on the acting, but this is 1977. This is everyone's gambling with this first movie. This is kind of our pilot into the universe, and it's like I get it. I think everyone's going to be a little bit maybe more committed to their roles in the second ones once they see how big of a success it becomes. But so far, brilliant stuff.
So again, basically this is a big budget B movie being filmed, so there's not much to go on with. Plus you're dealing with a core cast of American actors working over in English, surrounded by British actors and all that sort of thing. So we are looking at a much smaller scale and all that sort of thing. And again, when you know how things were done and all that sort of thing, it's kind of interesting to see how on the cheap a lot of this was actually done. So yes, very small budget, generally speaking, but kind of big budget for the B movie that they were trying to make.
I love little details like this. So they're hiding in the floor, brilliant. And Luke says to Han, he's like, oh, like it's a really good thing you have these here. And Han's like, yeah, they're for smuggling. I never thought I'd be smuggling myself. And just that detail, because I'm like, oh, how convenient that they can just be in the floor, right? But like, and I was thinking like, why, if there's regular panels that could fit a human being in the floor of like a spaceship, wouldn't droids like, or not, what are they? Stormtroopers. Wouldn't they know to look for them? But then because he said that, like, oh, they're for smuggling, they're illegal, like, they're not supposed to be there. You'd have no idea where to look for them. Makes perfect sense. Love.
So yeah, the hunk of junk that Han Solo has, he's done quite a few upgrades to the YT-1300 light freighter. That is what the Millennium Falcon is. Not only has he increased the engines to faster than light speed, he's also upgraded military shields and weapons to it, as well as putting in the current existing hidden compartments. Now, this is also on top of the previous owners' changes that he has also made prior to Han acquiring the Falcon.
I also really like just like the little tension, friendship between Han and Luke. Like they kind of butt heads a little bit, but they still have really good chemistry together. And like they, even in this first, like kind of the first mission they all do together, it goes pretty seamlessly at first. Like they work very well together immediately, which is nice.
So again, as the three main characters of the movie, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford spend a lot of time basically outside of filming of this movie together. We're over in England shooting, so they become a very well bonded character. It plays along very well in sequences like this one where Han and Luke are playing well off against each other in a very entertaining way and very natural feeling way. It doesn't seem very stinted.
I feel so sad right now. Like Obi-Wan just like he's leaving separately and he's like kind of sounds like he's saying goodbye to Luke right now. Which I really hope is not the case. Because I wanted him, like, with Luke. I thought he was in, like, all the movies, but what he just said to him, that kind of, like, your path and my path are not the same. Like, or something like that. It makes me feel like he's not going to make it out of this movie. Like, he's going to die now. And now I'm really sad. I really like Luke as our protagonist. Like, he's a very morally good hero like archetype, and I really like that. His like little moment where he was convincing Han like he knew how to get him on board. Love that. And he did that because he doesn't care like what Han is like influenced by. He just wants to do the right thing, which is getting Princess Leia. So that I think that's really sweet. I really like that characterization in him.
I would also perceive that most kids of the day back in 77 wanted to be Luke Skywalker because of those actual points. Others wanted to be the cool older kid of Han Solo.
Okay, we've got this like dominatrix looking droid that walks by. Do we find out anything about this person here? Tell me.
So that is the RA7 protocol droid, or inventory droid as it's known. It's been given the name of Death Star droid as a nickname, and it appears in both a silver form, which is what Kenner produced in its original 12 action figures back in 1978, and the black version is what is another version that it shows up as, is what you were referring to.
I do really like his plan to like transport Chewie as like a prisoner and be able to walk through that way. Very smart. Love it.
Yes, Luke is quite clever.
I love that Princess Leia is not like some like classic damsel in distress, but she's like actually really witty. She's strong. She can like hold her own against Han's like, little remarks. Like I really like her. She's a great female addition to this story.
So it's kind of neat because it's young Carrie Fisher acting like what older Carrie Fisher would become. And also, I'm pretty sure the young, assertive nature of her struck a chord with a young male audience at the time. And as being the only female in this space opera, probably was a main reason for a lot of crushes around that time. Mind you, the being extremely attractive as well did not hurt matters. Should I bring up the braless thing?
Did the stormtrooper like he hit his head on the door? I love that they included that. What?
You have every right to laugh at that sort of thing. I personally did not notice it until much later on in my multiple viewings of this, where it was actually pointed out. Now, we're talking probably in the 80s sort of thing. But again, hadn't paid any attention to it because of the fact that when Lucas was editing the movie, he realized that this footage had this accident happening and there was no way you'd go back and be able to shoot it. It wasn't seen until afterwards. So he actually doubled up on it by adding the clicking of the lead stormtrooper's speaker coming through, which then subsequently means every prior stormtrooper speaking had to have a click to the activation of his voice as well. But yes, it definitely is something that just, again, they didn't have any other footage to put into that, so they had to use what they had to use.
Oh my god. The moment where C-3PO finally like gets the garbage disposal thing turned off.
The trash compactor.
And he can hear them like they're all like cheering, but he's like, "Oh no, like they're dying. We're killing them." It's so cute. Also, really, really great tension in that like the garbage chute walls kind of closing in, which was nice because I thought like the snake in the water thing was a bit melodramatic, so it was nice to have it flipped. Like they're in like a foot of water. How'd they lose Luke?
So the Dianoga, which is a tentacled creature that goes through the trash compactors, removing all organic material from them as they start to break down their garbage. It's sort of like a squid where it has tentacled arms and a beak for a mouth, but it has a single tentacled eye stalk. And while they are mainly an aquatic creature, hence the reason why they're standing around in knee-deep water. Look at it again. Up to their knees.
Obi-Wan just died. For now, anyways. He said he's gonna come back. I don't know how he's gonna come back. But I'm like, I have a feeling he's probably gonna come back in like the third one. Like when we're kind of like the action is rising. He may come back to like inspire Luke like to stay on the good side of the Force or something like that.
Well, technically Ben is dead. But spoiler alert, it did take quite a lot of convincing and money to get Sir Alec Guinness to revive his roles in future movies.
But what was interesting about this, Obi-Wan like looks at Luke and then he decides to take a step back and like let like Vader kill him. And I'm wondering if that was his plan once he saw that Luke was going to see him be defeated. Like if he wanted to show him like that self-sacrificing like spirit or something like that. But I think he knew he was going to die. Like I think that was the plan. So I'm curious to learn more about that and his motive.
So Ben's sacrifice is put forward with the strike me down and I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Knowing he would have the ability to further instruct young Skywalker on his path to becoming a Jedi.
Just wanted to also say the CGI in this is really remarkable and outstanding for like 1977. It's really good. And I love the practical effects. It's so nice to see practical effects in a movie. Like, and the CGI is just where obviously necessary because it was like extremely crazy new technology at this point. So I'm just like, it's beautiful to watch.
So when it comes to CGI, I'm pretty sure you are watching a version of the movies past 1997, which is when Lucas had released special editions of the original trilogy. A January, February, March release of that year to audiences with all new footage added, using archival footage, new shot stuff, but using a lot of CGI added to it and all that sort of thing. So that's probably the version that you are currently watching. The reason being of the special editions, that is Lucas was never fully 100% satisfied with what he had put out originally, and then by the time he had felt technology had met up with his ability to finish off his movies, he went and did that several times. There are actually different versions of the original trilogy in different forms of special effects being added, subtracted, digital things and all that sort of thing. There's a lot of great differences. If you can ever compare the two between, it's huge. I mean, original trilogy, A New Hope, does not, first of all, have A New Hope in the opening, but that's a little different and all that sort of thing. But there's no Jabba the Hutt in the original one. Your version probably had a really cool looking CG Jabba the Hutt where Han Solo cut and paste walks over the tail of the Hutt. Whereas the original movie, first of all, that doesn't appear in the final film, but the footage is of a portly gentleman in a fur coat that was supposed to be replaced by a stop motion version of Jabba the Hutt later on. But Harrison Ford walks generally around a guy that doesn't have this long tail. So once they decide that Jabba is going to look like he does in Return of the Jedi, when they go back to add in the digital version of Jabba the Hutt, they have to figure out, hey, how are we going to get Han Solo to walk around this guy with this long tail? Plus, the difference between probably the version of Jabba you saw and the 1987 version of is miles difference. Just in the difference in special effects availability. Now, there's even up to the point of Lucas was altering these up into the point where it even just goes beyond him selling Lucasfilm to Disney. Whereas if you go to Disney Plus right now, you'll be able to see the McClunky cut of it, which, if you know, you know.
Okay, Harrison Ford's acting, really good. He nails all the little intricate moments, like the unspoken dialogue. He does really well in that.
Duh. It's Harrison Ford. It's the reason why he was one of the biggest blockbuster draws of the 80s and 90s.
Okay, when we see the Death Star approaching the planet, that's really ominous and eerie.
Actually, that planet, sorry. Actually, that planet is a moon, and it is Yavin 4, and yes, it is very ominous and eerie.
Okay, I really like that moment where Han's not gonna go with Luke and everybody, but he says, "May the Force be with you," which is basically "May God be with you," right? Like that's what it is. And even though he said he doesn't believe in it, he's still it's like that little connection that he made with them and Luke, and it's like it just hints at a little bit of growth within him, that like regardless of how jaded he still wants to come across, that meeting of all of them did affect him.
And to follow it with a response to Chewbacca of what are you looking at? I know what I'm doing, is just so underselling his decision to do what he's about to do, or what he's making him and Chewie do.
Okay, so Obi-Wan's definitely not dead then, because
No, Obi-Wan is dead.
Luke can still hear him in the Force. Like, he can still hear him in his mind, right? And earlier, when the planet got destroyed, Obi-Wan said he heard all their voices go silent, which means they actually died. So that means he's not dead.
No, he's definitely dead.
He's just like his physical form is dead. Because he's still existing. I'm so happy.
Okay, I'll give you that on a technicality.
Really love the action of them flying around and getting followed by like the little enemy ships.
TIE fighter.
Really good. I like how like a lot of people have already died. It's just that like it's nice to see that like they have like an actual like worthy opponent type of thing. Okay, I'm really surprised that Darth Vader's actually like out there like fighting. Like, because I feel like a whole bunch of like little lackey like stormtroopers just went out, but now we've got the Vader himself out there targeting these ships. I like that. It raises the stakes.
In Kenobi's own words, he was the best star pilot in the galaxy and a cunning warrior. And Vader's goal is to eliminate the rebellion, and this is the closest he can get to like one-on-one.
Oh, and that was set up earlier too. Obi-Wan was like, your father was the greatest star pilot in the galaxy, right? And I know that I'm not supposed to know that like Darth Vader's his father right now, but that makes sense as to why he would go out there immediately and like be like, no, I've got this. If he was the best pilot, this is like, you're in his like his arena right
now. I guess I should have waited a second for your response.
What an explosion. What a terrific shot. Oh my god, that's so cool. Also, love the Han came back. That's awesome. Aww.
Okay, so from the footage that I see at the bottom of your screen and all that sort of thing, you are watching the Kronos explosion version of the Death Star, which means you are watching obviously one of the special editions. Now hold on for a second. I'm going to go down another track and all that sort of thing. So when I said Kronos, basically that's the Klingon home planet. And what happens in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, the beginning of the movie has Kronos exploding, and the effect that ILM, who did the special effects at the time, had this really cool halo glow coming out of the core as the core of the planet explodes, and that's what that ring is. So later on, when Lucas went to do the special editions and all that sort of thing, he wanted ILM to include the same explosive halo ring. As you can see, it goes horizontally through the Death Star as it explodes. Now, it's not just Lucas. A lot of people from that point on have like, ooh, the core of the planet is exploding. It's got to be a bigger explosion. So you have the planet itself blowing up, and then you have this ring or running out of it as well, just to add to it. So it's not just one person. It's, but again, ILM is doing a lot of it, and then other people take it on and whatnot. So
he really, I just like that so much. That was so good. Such a win. It's very interesting how they played that too, because like Luke afterwards wasn't like woo like Han was, but Luke was like introspective there for a second. Like it's like for him that moment wasn't I succeeded in like doing like destroying the Death Star. For him it was like I succeeded in listening to the Force, and it paid off. That's how I feel like he's thinking about it. I feel like he's a very introspective character.
That's right. Even more steps further into his exploration and connection with the Force.
I'm also wondering if Darth Vader planned that. Like if he had some, because he's very tapped into the Force, and then he's saying Luke's tapped into the Force, and like.
So where you, Miss Claire, are aware of the connection, other than the Force is strong with this one, Vader is currently unaware that Luke is his son, or that Luke actually even exists. Again, we go into lore. Vader's been hunting down Jedi since episode 3 for the Emperor to encounter one with the Force is not unknown to Vader, but it is something that he probably hasn't experienced in a while, having, again, eliminated so many Jedi. Then you get around Rebels, Clone Wars, but we'll come to that when we come to that.
If he's tapped into the Force, like, he can probably sense things. Like, and I'm thinking that maybe he had, like, an inkling, like, I gotta get off this ship. I don't know if that's how the Force works, but I don't know. It's just, he's the only one that survived.
Well, Tag and Binks actually kind of survive, but I guess those guys aren't canon anymore, so I guess it doesn't really count. Oh, and one other really cool thing about Tarkin is that in the radio drama of Star Wars A New Hope, there is a scene just before Tarkin has his evacuate and our moment of triumph and all that sort of thing. Prior to that, he actually has a doubt of the situation working out for the Empire. So he almost starts to turn and run when one of his assistants, I can't remember who it is, comes up to him and tells him, "Sir, you've got to show force with this and all that sort of thing. You gotta stand tall. You have to make sure that everyone below you understands, like, this is." And then he decides to change his mind. And then when that officer comes on and says, "Hey, there might be an evacuate in our moment of triumph," which is so great. Obviously, it's not in the movie version, but the radio drama has that sort of sequence of, like, Tarkin about to turn and run, like you mentioned earlier with, or about to mention with, I can't remember where this is. Did you mention Vader's done this to escape because anyways.
Like, I mean, that thing blew up. So I don't know if, like, he had planned that. Like, he's like, yeah, I'll go. I volunteer. I'll go. I'll kill him. No worries. I'm a great pilot. Meanwhile, he's like, okay, get the fuck off this place. That was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, so this was kind of cool. Can't wait to see more.
Love the ending. I like how they even had, like, that silent ending a bit, and it was just eyes, just communication. Loved it. Well, I am so happy. I enjoyed that way more than I thought I would. So next up is The Empire Strikes Back. See you then. And
again, be sure to check out Katie Marie Clare on TikTok to see her unedited versions of this. Again, they are on a little bit of the long side, but I find that quite entertaining. And, well, me adding to hers has made this way longer than it really needs to be. I hope you'll basically join me when I tackle her take on The Empire Strikes Back.